After watching Bad Boys in 1995, I was so eager for a sequel, and the wait felt endless. But Bad Boys 2 finally arrived 8 years later, on July 18th, 2003, which the two of them, Will Smith and Martin Lawrence, hilariously kept shilling at award shows prior to its release. And it was well worth the wait to see Mike and Marcus back in action. When the trailers for Bad Boys 2 first dropped, it was impossible not to get hyped. They were big, they were explosive and packed with action, the perfect follow-up to the original. The over-the-top car chases, the massive shootouts, and the signature banter between Mike and Marcus promised a movie that wasn't just a sequel, but a full-blown spectacle. Bad Boys 2 is an action-packed sequel that amps up the stakes and chaos. The film follows Miami detectives Mike Lowry and Marcus Burnett as they take on the major drug cartel smuggling ecstasy into the city. Now, Bad Boys 2 is undeniably a spectacle, but its plot leaves a lot to be desired. The story about Mike and Marcus taking on a ruthless drug lord feels very secondary to the film's relentless focus on over-the-top action. It's typical of your Michael Bay movies, filled with explosive car chases, massive shootouts, and elaborate set pieces that push realism aside for just sheer and complete utter chaos. And while the action is undeniably entertaining, the convoluted narrative and the excessive length make the plot feel like a loose framework for Bay's signature brand of explosive mayhem. It's big, it's loud, and it's fun, but just not much in the way of story and character depth. Gabrielle Union's role as Sid Burnett in Bad Boys 2 brought a fresh dynamic to the Will Smith and Martin Lawrence duo. As Marcus' sister and Mike's love interest, she added both tension and humour to the overall story. Her presence gave Marcus a personal stake in the mission as he struggled with his overprotective brotherly instincts, while Mike's secret relationship with Sid created hilarious and awkward moments between the two friends. Union also held her own in the action sequences, proving that Sid was just as tough and capable as the boys, which added more layers to the story. Her chemistry with both leads complemented the movie's high-energy comedy and action, making her a very integral part of the team. Now, a silly little tidbit for you. In the opening credits of the original Bad Boys, Martin Lawrence's name was listed first, as he was the bigger star at the time due to his success with the hit sitcom Martin. However, by the time Bad Boys 2 came around, Will Smith's career had skyrocketed thanks to his main blockbuster hits like Independence Day and Men in Black and Enemy of the State. And to reflect their growing equality as stars, both names appeared side by side in the opening credits of the sequel. It wasn't until Bad Boys for Life, which came out nearly 25 years after the original, that Will Smith finally received top billing, and by then his status as a global superstar was undeniable, marking a shift in the dynamic while still honouring the iconic duo that made the franchise a success. Now, as I tend to do with movie retrospectives, I will give a brief overview whilst highlighting some of the key points from the film. So, let's go. The story kicks off with 8 years gone by following the events of the first movie, with Marcus and Mike infiltrating a Ku Klux Klan drug operation, setting the tone with high-octane action and the signature comedy banter, and an incident which Mike hilariously and accidentally shoots Marcus in his backside. With everything that they have been through as a partnership, Marcus begins to question whether he wants to continue on with Mike. Things get even more personal when Marcus' sister Sid, who works secretly undercover for the DEA, gets entangled with the cartel led by the ruthless Johnny Tapia. Tapia's schemes involve money laundering, double crosses, and an elaborate smuggling operation involving coffins. On top of this, Sid is also dating Mike, and with his reputation as a ladies' man, this does not sit well at all with Marcus, and it leads to a rather tense but funny confrontation between the two. As Mike and Marcus dig deeper into the case, their investigation leads to explosive car chases, wild shootouts, and a massive firefight in Tapia's Miami mansion. And during the chaos, Sid gets captured, and the climax sees them launching a daring raid in Cuba to rescue her. a culmination with a large explosive device that demolishes the mansion. The heroes then steal a yellow Hummer as they escape the Cuban military forces, which is controlled by Tapia. Tapia has survived the explosion and chases after the group, ultimately ending up on the outside of Guantanamo Bay. And as they are not recognized as US citizens, the Navy personnel on the base shoot at both Mike and Marcus as well as Tapia's vehicles, prompting them to stop just as they enter a live minefield. And last time around it was Mike who saved Marcus from the main villain Fouget. This time around it's Marcus's turn to save Mike as he kills Tapia as he is holding Mike at gunpoint. Tapia's body falls backwards onto a mine, which obliterates his corpse. Now Mike, Marcus and Sid celebrate at a barbecue in Marcus's background with his family, and Marcus has come to terms with Mike and Sid being an item, and has decided to remain partners with Mike, ensuring that the bad boys will carry on with their adventures. Alongside the adrenaline-pumping action, the movie explores the evolving friendship between Mike and Marcus, with Marcus contemplating leaving the force and Mike grappling with his feelings for Sid. The movie was packed with a lot of humour, jaw-dropping stunts and over-the-top set pieces, and delivered an action-packed roller coaster of a ride. In terms of the cast, Will Smith and Martin Lawrence return, and their dynamic is pretty much the same as it was in the first movie, with a bit more over-the-top banter. Marcus on this occasion is looking to slow down a bit, and Mike is as over-the-top as ever, especially with all the car chase scenes. The addition of Gabrielle Union offers a new dynamic to the lead actors. She plays DEA Special Agent Sid Burnett, Marcus's younger sister. She's fearless and courageous and likes to live on the edge, which probably explains why her and Mike were dating. Spanish actor Jordi Mola plays the Cuban drug kingpin Hector Juan Carlos Johnny Tapia. In contrast to Fouget, he is your typical foreign bad guy drug lord, and he's not, in my opinion, as intimidating or as menacing as Fouget, but he is fairly engaging. Teresa Randall returns as Marcus's wife, and she has much less of a role to play this time around. Joe Pantoliano returns as the hot-headed Captain Conrad Howes. Cuss words galore, he's just trying to be a lot calmer this time, but with all the antics from the bad boys, that doesn't last. Dennis Green plays young Reggie, looking to go on a date with Marcus's daughter. He is in one of the main highlights of the movie when he meets Marcus for the first time and gets all manner of hilarious third degree from him, with Mike joining in and giving one of the funniest lines in the movie.
You ever make love to a man? No. You want to?
There are small roles for Michael Shannon and Megan Fox and former NFL quarterback Dan Marino. In terms of its gross, Bad Boys for its opening weekend generated $46.5 million, making it the fourth highest opening weekend for an R-rated film, behind The Matrix Reloaded, Hannibal and 8 Mile. It made a worldwide gross of $273 million on a budget of just $130 million. And critics were quite harsh on this movie this time around, with Robert Ebert of the Chicago Sun-Times giving the film a 1 out of possible 4 stars, especially offended by one scene involving a teenage boy and the use of the N-word, saying, "The needless cruelty of this scene took me out of the movie and into the minds of its makers. What were they thinking? Have they so lost touch with human nature that they think audience will like this scene?" Film critic Richard Roper named Bad Boys 2 the worst film of 2003. I'm not quite sure about that one, as there were much stronger contenders for that title. James Maridinelli of Real Views stated Bad Boys 2 isn't just bad, it's a catastrophic violation of every aspect of cinema that I as a film critic hold dear. I mean, if you went off these reviews, Bad Boys 2 just sounds like a really terrible movie. As much as I enjoyed Bad Boys 2 for its explosive action and the over-the-top set pieces, it definitely pales in comparison to the original Bad Boys when it comes to the actual story. The first movie had a tighter and more engaging narrative with a focus on character-driven moments and the clever interplay between Mike and Marcus. It balanced the humour and the suspense and action perfectly, making it a very good standout body cop film. In contrast, Bad Boys 2 felt more spectacle-driven, where the plot took a backseat to Michael Bay's trademark explosions and chaotic action sequences. So I can see where the critics are coming from, but it is not by any means a terrible movie. Not at all. It's still entertaining. The heart and simplicity of the original story is what made Bad Boys, the first one, truly special. I honestly didn't remember much about Bad Boys 2 until I rewatched it a few years later. Whilst I recall the explosive action and some of the over-the-top moments, the details of the plot and the key scenes had completely slipped my mind. So rewatching it brought everything back: the wild car chases, the hilarious banter between Mike and Marcus, especially the scene with young Reggie, and then the sheer chaos of Michael Bay's direction. It's the kind of movie that leaves an impression with its spectacle, but it can be very easy to forget when it comes to the actual story itself. So concluding, I would rate Bad Boys 2 as a standard action popcorn flick. Not a lot in terms of story and character development, just plenty of guns, explosions, car chases, drug-related crime operations, the norm for a standard body cop flick. But with the trademark humour of Martin Lawrence and Will Smith, it still manages to balance the over-the-top chaos with some very funny laugh-out-loud moments, as only the Bad Boys can do. So overall, no Oscar award-winning performances here, just an all-round decent action comedy flick.